Okay, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about some preliminary sketches using just a couple of different tools for drawing. One is your traditional pencils and your graphite pencils. Graphite pencils typically have the graphite all the way around so you can make marks, larger shaded areas. Okay, that's not working so well. Larger shaded areas because the graphite extends beyond. There's no wood exterior. Regular pencil, there's a wood exterior, so you're limited to whatever the size of your tip is. This is a HB pencil, which is one of the standard ones. It's a really nice pencil for drawing, but what you have to bear in mind is with the HBs, I'm using a lot of pressure here, you cannot get it as dark as you can with a graphite. And with the graphites, they come in a range from softer to harder. And this is a 6B, which means that it is pretty soft. The softest one I have is a 9B. So if I press with equal amount, you can see I can get that much darker there. So you can have this nice variation between using a variety of pencils or using the one pencil and pressing softer or pressing harder to get the different values that you're trying to make. And I do tend to do a lot of value sketches, so I like them a lot. I'm also planning on showing you how I can take a photograph and do a proportional scale. So we're going to start with that, and this photo, I've already been on Photoshop and I've already cropped it. I take lots of photographs. I like Photoshop because I can get in there and I can do a whole variety of different things, but cropping is one of the main things that I like it for. So, and I'm going to change this photograph around. I'm debating about really whether that fence railing is necessary to the design. So this is a great place to work it all out through the sketching. Okay, so I'll do this on the gray toned paper so you can see how that works with the graphite pencil. And I've already pre-measured this, so I know that this cropping that I've done here is compatible with a 9x12 sheet of paper. So I make these little cards up, and sometimes I just use, old cards that, from Christmas or advertisements. Don't see one right here. I thought I had one handy. But anyway, this is just an index card. So measuring this out, so what is proportional to 9x12? Well, this is a proportion wheel that, a lot of drafts persons use. And what you start by doing is, this is my goal right here. This rotates right here. So I'm going to rotate this so that the 9 and the 12 are lined up. This means that I'm going to be creating proportional drawings to a 9x12. So any sketch that I make is going to be proportional to 9x12. So if I go along here, I can see all the different sizes that I can make for my preliminary sketches. So what I've chosen to do is this one right here, where I have 5 1/4 roughly by 4. So this is what I have measured on this card. The index card is 5 1/4. It's actually a little bit more, but I'm not that finicky with my math. So I'm not building a house, I'm doing a drawing. So right in here is my equivalent size for the 9x12. If I decide to go larger, I also know from this proportion wheel that a 12x16 is proportional with my preliminary sketch with, let's say, this 9x12 I do. And if I follow along here, all these numbers that line up tell me what's proportional. So if I go along, I really do tend to do paintings that are standard sizes. So this is a 12x16 is the next standard size. But truthfully, you can do any size you want. It's just me. I do tend to stay that way. Not always. But not to waste a piece of index card, I know that this is 4x6 if I go all the way to the end. So what I've also done is I have lined up my 4 with my 6. So now I have a 4x6 card. And that is proportional with everything that it lines up with here. And the standard size is along here. Not so standard, but one that I would do is an 8x12, a 12x18, and also a 16x24. So I have that for a variety of different sizes. So once I have that done, what I tend to do, since I already know this is the composition I want, just going to put that to the side. Now, this is just a winter scene I took not long ago, not this storm, but the last small one. I'm just going to use the 6B graphite pencil. Again, those 3 sizes are fine. I know this is where it ends because that's where my line is. Flip it around and I can do just get my little line here. So I know this right here is proportional to that 9x12 or a 12x16 if I decide to go larger. So I'm not committed to that now. I'm not committed to anything actually because all I'm doing is a sketch. So from here, let's see. Just so you know, I'm going to just go back to this for a second. When I'm looking at designs, what I'm looking for is that compositional structure that's underneath a photograph or a drawing. Ian Roberts, a Canadian oil painter, talks about the armature of a painting. So what I want to do is really think where are the bones, what is really holding this compositionally together. And this is why this here, we've got a nice diagonal going along here and a nice diagonal going along here. Anytime you have a diagonal, you do really want to have either verticals that are stopping your eye from just going off the page, which is why this is kind of handy, or you want something that's horizontal that's stopping your eye from going off the page. Well, I've got my boat here. Okay, so my boat is definitely going to stop that sliding board effect. The fact that I'm not going into a corner is going to stop that. I also have the road here that's behind. So, you know, to start with, I'm going to leave this out. I do like it. This back here is incidental. Okay, the shapes that are back there, they're off in the distance. The photograph makes them more prominent than, you know, I would want. I've got a lovely change of lights and darks. That's what I looked for in this sketch today. So I've got some nice value clashes that are going on. The other thing is that I've got this lovely light. Look at the light that's back here. Okay, it dissipates, starts to filter away because of all the shadows that are coming across. I love that type of painting, especially with snow. Now with snow, just be careful. The photographs sometimes can make them far more bluer than it looked in real life. So that is something that I can adjust. The fact that I'm working off of a print copy instead of a backlit copy from, you know, if I was looking at my iPad or my phone or the laptop, you know, I'd have that backlit, so I wouldn't be really seeing this as dark. So that's I'm bearing in mind. So to start putting that to the side, so to start with, what I want to do is just set up a little value bar. Okay, and my value bar I'm going to put down here. I always draw a value bar. I'm going to try to keep everything right in this shaded area. I couldn't figure out how to do this without having the iPad cast a shadow. So if I keep everything within the shadowed area, we're okay. Okay, so for this value scale, what I'm doing is I'm just going to I do this for probably 90% of my paintings. Okay, this is white. This is black. Okay. Because I'm doing gray toned papers, I'm just going to do these on the outside. And the reason I put them on the outsides is because I really don't use pure white or pure black, but I do sometimes go close to that. I'm going to switch gears for just a second. I'm going to bring out the China markers. They do call them China markers, but really they're far more like pencils. And it's a wax tip, okay, which means that if you put it down, okay, again, the more pressure I put in here, the whiter it is, the less pressure. Because this is on gray tone paper, it takes on a bit of a lighter value gray that I can use in my value scale. Same thing happens with the black. Okay, hard pressure. I can get it really, really dark. Actually, a lot of times far darker than your graphite pencil. So this is my 6B graphite pencil, and you can see how much darker it is. The other beauty about this is these guys do not smear, okay? Your pencils, especially the B pencils, they will smear. Soft lead. Okay, so this is white. I put that in really, really dark. Okay, I can't guarantee this is going to come out perfect because, there we go. Really, really dark. I get those two guys in. Okay, from here, what I'm going to do is I've just got 4 values. So, not counting white and black. So what I wanted to make is a light white and a middle value white. I want to make a middle value black and a darker black. So this, if I squint my eyes and I look, it's pretty darn close, but I want there to be a distinct difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on softly and just run it across here. And I'll just do a little bit there. Okay, and leave this one. So see, I'm pressing it a little harder with that white. And that's a little bit more of a gray tone here. I might have been able to get away with just actually leaving this. There we go, there we go. I'm going to bring in my black and do the same sort of thing. Only going to do it very, very lightly. I go across both of them very, very lightly. And then this one here, I am going to do a little bit darker. I don't want it as dark as this. The idea is to try to get an even stepping stone from one to the next. And these two guys look like they're very close, so I'm going to get him a little darker, very, very soft. Okay. I'm going to go back in here and look. And I feel like that the difficulty with this is once you get it down, you cannot erase it. So I think what I'm going to do, actually that might be all right. Okay, I'm just kind of looking at the light. It looks, this I can see a difference between the two. But I think just going to put a little bit lighter there. I should have been paying a little closer attention. Quicker way to do it, and this is the way I tend to do them, in half. Okay, I just write white, black. This is my graphite pencil. I start over here. I put it on lightly all the way across. I go to the next one, leave the first one empty, go all the way across. Go to the third one, leave the first two empty, pressing down, so you're just creating more and more layers as you go across, and then darkest here. And then what I do is I come in and I see how dark I can get that graphite pencil. And then I try to create that stepping stone look. And it's white and black, and I'm not worried about trying to make black. I know this is not going to go as black as that, and if I don't have my graphite pencils, my China markers with me, I am more than happy with just my B and my W. That works out fine. And then because this is graphite, this will smear. Remember, this will not. Once you put it down, that's it. So that's pretty good. I'm not really totally happy with this here. I feel like this one should be a little bit darker there. This is probably going to start to fuss now. Okay, I don't want to spend a lot of time fussing on this. Anyway, I think you get that idea. Stepping stones. Ideally, you want to keep one of them pretty close to the color of the paper. Okay, so here we go. With this here, I'm just going to get in and I'm going to just block in. Okay, there's the center bar this way, center bar this way. If you're someone that forgets where the center is, put a little dot in the center just as a reminder. Okay, and I have big shapes. This is just a quick little one. I'm not going to bother with thumbnail sketches to show you, partly because I think, you know, people understand and know your. Okay, let me just. Okay, I'm just going to get that in very lightly back there. Big shapes. Okay, this guy here, I'm going to shift him over a little bit. And again, because I'm doing him with the pencil right now. Okay, up nice and high there. And then there's some variations in here. There's like a hill. Again, no details, no details. I'm just kind of looking down here at this right here since I'm doing it with graphite. And I'm getting a nice idea of where these darker shapes are. So I'm just kind of putting them in. Remember that house. I'm not going to actually draw that house in there. And I've got this just coming across. Okay, now got that set up, coming through, coming over. Roughly have my boat right here. No, let's not worry about getting this exactly accurate. That's okay. I'm just going to get the rough shape here. And get the rough shapes in here and along here. Okay, and then we had the road. So big shape person. If you're someone who really wants to measure things out, you know, go. You know, there's so many different ways you can do it, but I'm just big shaping it right now. Okay, so there's lots of snow. I really don't want a lot of white in the background, so I'm going to leave it like that. This area, I've got the snow right in here. This boat that's upside down, I don't really think this is going to, I mean, okay, yeah, it's probably helpful to have the two of them together, but the reality of it is it's doing nothing for the composition. So it really is about this boat here. So get this, and then I'm going to block in those dark shapes of the shadows that I'm seeing, and then I've got more shadows that are coming. I have to bear in mind that without this boat, there's not going to be some of these incidental shadows. And I've got this lovely shadows that are falling over the bank. And I can use that one that's going over the boat as if it's over the bank of some snow that's built up. Okay, big shapes, big shapes, big shapes. Okay, so this is where I should have spoken about the rule of thirds too. Sorry about that. The golden mean, if you took and you divided your rectangle in thirds this way, and then you divided it in thirds this way, and you could measure it if you want. I usually eyeball it. Wherever those two lines intersect, that is considered a good place for a focal point. Caution, and I might have put that on Padlet for you to read unless it was one of the other ones, is take it with a grain of salt, because that don't plan a composition totally around just where those rule of thirds are. You know, you want to be a little looser with that. Okay, photographers really use that a lot. Okay, let me just come in, just get that shape. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to break this down totally. I wanted that to be off in the distance, so I've got my gray area in. Middle value. Okay, I've got that in here, 2 middle values. What I'm going to do now is I am going to get in my darkest area and my lightest area. And definitely in this case, I do have some white, so I'll be able to use my white China marker. So here I come. I'm going to come in and big shapes. And I know that this is not as dark as it is in real life, so I am not going to press down as hard as I did here. I am going to go right about here, which is about equivalent to about there. Okay, just going to shade that right in. I don't necessarily always start with my darks, but in this case, because this painting has a fair amount, or this drawing, this is pretty much the same. So guess what? I'm just going to come in here, shade this too, a little bit on that back. Not looking for all that embellishments that's on that boat. Okay, I'm just going for those dark shapes right now. Pressed him down a little farther here. That shadow that's in the photograph does not appear. Make sure you pay total close attention to that. Okay, that's really the darkest area, which is really kind of nice for the design because it's going to anchor that painting. Okay, I'm going to press down just a little harder right by this boat edge right here, because if anything's going to be darker, it's going to be right underneath that boat. A little bit on the inside of the boat. And now I'm pressing down about here. And just getting that dark in. So I'm going to wind up just doing this in 3-tone, the paper, the black, and the white. That's all I see inside the boat. Okay, all I see inside the boat is this bit right here. So that's drawn right there. Leave the rest. Now, another thing that's really nice is with these shadows, you can get in here. Remember, big shapes. Coming around the top of the boat, there's going to be some light on the top of the boat, so I can use that darker area that's behind the boat. There's the edge here. It's behind the boat to give some shape to that, to the bow of the boat. And there's a couple of places here. And you can do this. Okay, softer, not as dark as this. Okay, down here. This area here is a little darker, so I'm going to just do a little bit there. I'm going to get a little darker right at that end and just keep. This is far more of a drawing method than the one that I showed you last week, where we were really looking at just those big shapes of, again, here, look at this is going to be light here. This inside of the boat's light, so I can bring this right up to the edge of the boat. And the edge of the boat appears because of the shadow I've created on this pretend snowbank that used to be a boat in the photograph. Okay, that's medium. Can I get in? Can I get in that road? You know, this is the time you can just, he's got a slight slant. He's not totally horizontal. You know, I don't know. I'm not going to put those in right now. I really don't think I'm going to need those. Famous last words. I may regret that. And then I've got these little bits right along here. And then this area here really could wind up being the color of the paper. But this is how I decide that. I've got my darks in. Got these two in. This one right here. Not black, but the darkest I can do. Now I have my middle gray. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch gears. I already have gray paper. And the gray paper fell just on the other side. It took the place of middle light. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my lights in a few areas. Might be this white. So a lot of the snow. And you'll notice when you do this that if I go over pencil or I go over the black, I wind up, hopefully that's showing up all right. I knocked down the light a little bit. I'm not pressing as hard as this. I'm pressing more like that, bringing it in. I've got this really, now I'm pressing hard. And this makes sense because I want this boat. So I've got this boat. I'll just get in here, just do these shapes. Look at all the snow inside that boat. Okay, and this edge right there. And then I've got this edge right in here. Of course, there's multitude of values in this photograph. Multitude. And all I'm doing is I'm picking out key. Oh, look at what we're narrowing it down to 4. 4 values, that's it. Gonna come in here. Now, I already have the middle that's going to take the place of a lot of this, the middle light, okay? So what I'm focusing on is the areas that are really that light. So now I want to be careful because I want there to be a little bit of a pattern. So if I'm going to have light in the foreground and then I'm going to have light in the background, I'm going to want to have some sort of, remember that I talked about that compositional structure, that diagonal? So I'm going to just pick this up right here. I'm going to have a lot of light back there. Yeah, see, that's not cut. That's one thing is it doesn't cover. I've got this lovely shape around here where it's moving and coming in. It starts getting light again, but I've got a lot of light right on this edge, so I'll just really kick that up. Now, if to squint my eyes, guys are deceiving, okay? So what you do is really, you can squint your eyes, and is it lighter than darker than that white as snow? Is it lighter or darker than the white edge of that paper? It is not white. So that sky, as tempting as it could be to want to shade it in light, it's really, that is really falling somewhere in this value right here. But I'm going to add just a little bit of light right on that horizon edge, just because I like to have just a little bit of light, so it's not as strong as it is down in here. Okay, the light that's coming through here is taken care of. This is if we squint our eyes and we look. This is really all light. There's lots of little gradating lines that are, you know, flowing around. We could start fiddling all over the place. I'm not going to. This is my shadow or somebody else's shadow. I'm not putting that in. You know? Okay, so I've got these three tone here. You know what? This is when you start really looking hard. Look at this area here. Okay, that right here. That's going to get a little dark, and it's going to pick up. Remember, this is my rule of third. My boat is falling right in that area. Okay, this is all supposed to be supporting movement coming in. So I'm just going to come in and just check to make sure I got a little bit of the shadows that are running along here. I had my road here. Going to just give it a little bit more of an uneven edge. Don't want anything in the background to move forward, so I'm going to keep that dark area right there. Dark area right here, right underneath. Shadows are not as dark as they appear, and I may regret this later, but you know what? I really think that is going to help create that edge, and especially when I get that, let me just a little bit harder here. Okay, highest contrast. Okay, the highest contrast that I have is falling right in this area right here. Okay, which is what I was going for. It's going to dissipate as it goes out, especially for this scene. Although it's a sunny scene, you could play around and make this definitely. I could just put a little bit right along there, just like. Okay, I'm starting to fuss, and I drop my pencil. Okay, so from here, the next thing that I'm going to do is just pretty quickly just show you the next time, just kind of sketch that I do off of this. Oh, look at it, I managed to break the pencil on this. Okay, I'm gonna, good old graphite, I don't even need the tip, I can use the side. Okay, I'm gonna move that slightly up so it's in the same lighting. And I'm going to do just a small little one, just kind of thumbnail rough it out to about the proportions of this. Okay, I'm going to put in my boat shape right here. Got my shadow right here. Shadow's coming down. Oh, I like that shadow the way that's going. I've got my little dark piece here. I've got the land right here. Got the background here. And then I've got some of these shadows that are coming down. And these I tend to do several of them all like light and loose and play around with them. Just big shapes, real big shapes. Now, what I'm going to do is anything that fell in this zone right here, which is the equivalent to the, goodness, the China markers over here. Anything that those values are going to turn dark. Got a little bit here, shade it in, shade it in, shade it in. Okay, a little bit. Got a little bit back here. I have a little bit right along here. Remember, I kind of drew those shapes, and I have a little bit here. Okay, this in the background. See, this is it. I don't want that background to come forward. Okay, so whichever way I look at it, and this guy here, I think I might make just a little bit darker. That makes a little bit more sense to my sketch. Okay, I don't know if I want that all white back there, but this is what I'm going for. This painting really is I'm looking for the light that's coming into this painting. So there's two different ways I can think about it. Is one, I can have a painting that is high key, okay, mostly light values. I can make a painting that has a range of values, but that is heavier on the lighter values. So let me just think for a second here. I think that the light is going to be more obvious if let's just try it like this. Okay, and then the road is going to get filled in. Okay. Yeah, but I want the light infusing through here. See, I've left it like that, so I'll leave it. I got that. Not so sure. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to leave it like this for a second. I'm going to divide it into quarters. Okay, I'm going to look at each little quadrant, and I'm going to say, is it light or dark? Okay, this one is mostly dark. This one's mostly dark. This one is half and half, but we could go to the white end that's mostly dark. I've created a painting that's mostly dark, and then the light is going to pop through it. Okay, not a bad idea. I'm not so sure I'm going to like that. So let me try this. Let me see what happens if I do it again, only this time I'm going to I'm just going to draw those. I'm just going to shade them in. Okay, and then there's the edge of that boat. And here's this area here. Here's the edge of the boat. This, and then I've got some of the shadows here, and then I've got little shadows here. Now, and I'm going to avoid all those other shadows and darkening, in that background back here. Okay, so now I'm going to divide this one into quarters. Well, it's a little cockeyed, but we're going to kind of mostly quarters. Okay, this one's, oh wow, this one's mostly, well, wait a second. Let's get this in the center here, Betsy. Okay, now let's look. Let's just, good old graphite. You can erase it easy with your fingers. So if I'm looking at this one here this is about half and half. We've got to be careful with that. This one here is mostly dark. This one here is... Okay, this one here, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to knock down the size of this right here. I wasn't going to use my eraser, but I'm going to get a little bit more light inside the boat and what's next to the boat. And then I got just that little one there. Boat here, light, light, light. Gonna keep that light, gonna keep those shadows on the lighter end. A little darker here. Background here. Okay, this one's easy. This one's light, that's light. What I'm trying to do is make this one lighter and that one darker, because I want to have a 3-to-4 ratio. So this one here, I had 3 darks and a white. Okay, this one's going to be light infused in a different way, but the whole setup has definitely more darks. And look at how heavy that top is if I would started it like that, especially with those snowy trees. Why did I do it like that? Anyway, so now I've got light, 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 and dark. So when I paint, I'm going to be thinking in terms of making sure I don't cross over into the darker zone back here, and then I keep my dark areas right into this down here. And let's take and divide this here, and if I went and I did that same thing here, there's my mid mark right, whoops, there's my mid mark right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is in here, some of these values that I did, I can come in and I can get that a little bit lighter, and I can erase with the, I can erase my graphite, and the graphite, oh, I didn't use the graphite, did I? Okay, so we're just going to pick a little bit in there, get a little bit more light in there, and that's fine. Get more light here. I'm going to be really careful with my, yeah, see that it doesn't, okay, so this, if I get more light here and light here, I'm going to create more light infused right in here with that nice accent. So that's what I'm going to bear in mind. 3 quadrants are going to have lighter values, and I certainly can cross a little bit over into this end because clearly the painting is going to have more than 4 values in it. And then I have my white highlights, and I have a couple of areas that are going to be a little dark. I have to be careful with that so it doesn't wind up looking like a little bullseye. Get something else to counter it. So that's how I wind up. And I use the graphite pencils a lot of different ways, but that combination, I showed you both at the same time. If I'm using a white pad of paper, what I do tend to do for a white pad of paper, okay, there's one you can see. I also used a marker. I had my 4 values that are here, black and white, and there's the sketches for here. And again, I was looking for something that was mostly light infused. I look at my no-tan, mostly light infused. Light, light, light. And that one really even could get almost half and half and drop. I had to drop the buoy. It was way too high. Let's see if there's another one to show you. Oh, it's another buoy. Little ones. Looking to see. Oh, I guess this is that I keep forgetting to bring my bigger sketchbook out. So, okay. Nope. This one I just started in July, and I've been using the gray tone quite a bit. So let's flip through the gray tone for just a minute. See what I got going on in here. Okay, that one was for a winter scene. Okay, this is one I showed you in our workshop with all the, and this all just becomes almost like a little diary. This is a one where, oh, look at, no, see, did not do the, where's the photograph? Okay, oops, sorry, photograph's not in here. And another buoy. That was the color palette that went with it, but again, you know, this was all with the China markers. A quick little no-tan on the side. That was the photograph. Okay, I usually don't do them side by side. There's another smaller one with the China markers. Same idea with my light and dark, setting it in. So the China markers on this gray tone, I think they wind up looking really nice too with this dark and this white. I mean, on a white sheet of paper, it's really hard to try to get that. And then trying these with, you know, different formats. So just by keeping, keep your sketchbook almost as if you keep, it's like a journal, a diary. I mean, I do have loose things scattered in here, but the photographs are all in there. The color palette that I wind up using. You know, everything just stays right, and they get really rather thick by the end of it. So this is the gray tone, Strathmore. It comes in what I would say is more of a cooler blue, and then it does a cooler gray, and then they do have one that's warmer. It's more like a tan, so that's your own preference. So hopefully that was helpful. Another way to sketch, and by setting your things in with your value, you do wind up getting a good part of your, you know, composition taken care of, but then you can also set it up so that you're on a roll to, let me open it up again. You're on a roll to seeing all the different values, and I can do this in different ways. Maybe I'll decide, oh geez, maybe I should have more. I can draw it again. How long did that take? Not too much, and I was talking the whole way through. Okay, so any questions, feel free, get in touch. You know, you have my email, but I do check Padlet a couple of times a week just in case anyone says sends in a message. Let me turn around so I can just see you. And, you know, anything that you do, you know, put it on Padlet. It'd be nice to see if anyone tried the sketches that I showed you from last week where you were carving out with charcoal, or this week if you want to do your value sketches and your little note hands. And I'll add another one sometimes towards the end of next week. So my goal is through the month of February to kind of supplement what we did with some of the sketches. So thank you. Bye-bye.